All right. Hello, everyone. This one's going to be just me rambling on about the carrier rework and kind of like uh, like another video on basically what we all anticipated and what we were looking forward to, what the rework could possibly bring for good or for worse, and just wanted to give more insight on how I view everything, what I feel like should be done. But yeah, so as we can see here, this is just the old post from last year. It's already been almost a year now. Wow. This is the very first time that we were doing that Wargaming was doing the initial carrier rework 2.0. 2.0 because the first one happened in 2019, 2020. So this is the second rework that we were going to be getting, and this was them saying, hey, you can join for the open test. They were basically going over how they wanted to introduce new altitudes, new mechanics with anti-air. This very first test was, it included things like the FAA blinding the planes. For example, it was just complicated, right? So they did all this kind of stuff, but then we go to the new carrier rework, or prototype, second prototype that we got to try out back in February of this year. They kept a lot of things the same, but they removed a few things such as DFA blinding. They made it a little bit more easier to add in more UI. Okay, so the players can actually see what's going on, despite the fact that it didn't really help too much. They, flak is completely removed. A big one that a lot of people were upset about, understandably so. All these different changes that they added and removed compared to the first playtest. But obviously, even still, from the carrier's side of things, it was very, very clunky. Even after they improved the fluidity of the whole thing, it felt like it didn't feel like it didn't feel good to just to play. It just something just felt off, right? This is all far from being finalized, but even still, it just felt so weird, so clunky, felt so unintuitive. Overly complicated is probably the biggest word, the best word to describe the whole thing. Just overly complicated, both from the carrier side and from the surface ship side. Surface ships especially did not appreciate this whole rework because of the travel altitude. A lot of the times they would say that it's too difficult to actually see where the planes are coming from, because when one scenario that I've realized was when there's a lot of airstrikes flying at you, right? There's Dutch aircraft now, or Dutch airstrikes, regular surface ship airstrikes for the ASW, deal with submarines, or to potentially spot or find a ship that has their anti-air active. It's a lot of planes, a lot of stuff going on the minimap. Sometimes that can just cause the player to misread the minimap and completely see or completely forget that enemy squadron is coming. Also, they added a feature on this playtest where there's a little UI, a little arrow, a little plane icon, I think. I don't remember if it was a plane icon or an arrow that shows up on your screen. Kind of like how torpedoes do, then just to show where the squadron is coming from. It gets cluttered, or it gets misread through all the clutter that's going on your screen. And when there's a lot of things going on in World of Warships in the battle, people can often just not see it. It happened to me, so that's what I experienced. But a lot of times, a lot of this stuff transition over from the first rework to the second rework. Now, a lot of the things that people are having issues with was, yes, you do lose, or the carrier loses the plane, maybe one plane, maybe two plane, out of the 3 or 4 planes in their attack squadron during the strike. But that's the only time that they ever lose the planes. Because if the carrier doesn't go near the fighters, which fighters can tag onto planes that are in travel mode, then the carrier, the only thing that the carrier has to worry about is during the attack run, what they're striking and how they can go about the angle. And they have improved maneuverability as well. So That's another thing that the surface ship has to deal with, but that's the only time that they'll ever lose planes. Other than that, I mean, carrier can just go to the back line for free. Not have to worry about anything because defensive fire no longer activates, or it no longer damages planes on travel mode. So carrier can essentially just fly to the back, find the lone battleship, because battleships are generally the slowest and they spawn the furthest back, or they can just strike the carrier for free. That's where the frustration all comes in. Even still, even with all these changes, with continuous AA buffs, they have their new priority sector that activates 360 around their ship. It's still not enough because, let's say, a Haku, Midway, Shinano, FDR finds a lone battleship. Doesn't matter what kind of battleship it is. If they don't have fighter, if they don't have DFA, if they don't have the proper upgrades or the commander skills that enhances their AA even more, then it's wasted. Also, continuous AA, the continuous AA, the automatic AA is what they call it. It automatically triggers when planes are nearby, anti-air is firing. It fills up like a little gauge, and once that's filled up, your anti-air tracers turn red. It was improved damage, right? If that activates, the carrier can just either wait it out, or they can just strike a new target, and there's no way to really control when your automatic AA is going to activate unless you turn off your AA. As another step, a necessary step that overly complicates things. A lot of this stuff just make the whole thing interaction on both sides just so messy. And I mean, someone who plays Legends recommended me to watch this Wilds Legends video. Now, Wilds Legends is the console version, not Blitz, because Wilds Legends also has a mobile version that is released, but is not Wilds Blitz. They're totally different games. But the thing is with Wilds Legends is they're, even though they're the console part, the console version of our PC port, a lot of their balance changes or stat adjustments here and there, a lot of that actually comes to our game. And the most memorable one that I can think of was Buffalo, the Tier 9 United States heavy cruiser. Buffalo has been overlooked for so many years, right? But after I've been playing Legends, I think 2 years ago, I was a CC for Legends for 6 months. A lot of I noticed that a lot of their ship stats in Legends actually came to our game as a large balance update. A lot of the death blocks that they released that buffs and nerfs a lot of the ships at once, that a lot of those stats are Legends stats. Buffalo's buff, Legends Buffalo. It's just a lot of stuff is carried over. A lot of assets are shared between the two, right? Collaboration stuff as well. But the thing about Wilds Legends is, I'll play this video in a bit. This is their carrier rework that they had. I believe it was last year. It was actually like 9 or 10 months ago. This was a video that came out 11 months ago. And a lot of their stuff, you'll find the similarities between ours and theirs. And our rework, remember, our rework was announced on June of 2024. Pretty sure a lot of them had playtested this many months prior to that announcement. But I still feel like Wilds Legends and Wilds PC both had a conversation with, hey, we need to rework carriers on both sides, because Wilds Legends carriers are also very oppressive. Now, the changes that they announced on their platform and that they actually carried out with it in May, I think it was mixed reviews, but a lot of the changes that they added was a lot of the changes that we have been testing as well, or that we got to test in our public test session. So I'm gonna play this video, just 3-minute 40-second video. A lot of the changes, you will see that it was ours as well, but also a lot of the things that we could also receive instead of just getting this huge rework, right? It could just be a minor change here and there and not have to overcomplicate current carriers. So I'll play this video right now.
Ahoy, Captains! There's no growth without change, and your feedback has highlighted key areas for improvement. We're thrilled to introduce a comprehensive rework of aircraft carriers, designed to elevate the gameplay experience for everyone. Whether you're commanding these mighty vessels, allied with them, or facing them in combat. In this video, we'll quickly cover the main adjustments, so be sure to watch until the end. The first change introduces a brand new feature, Fuel. This new mechanic determines the distance your squadrons can fly, displayed in kilometers on the fuel gauge. If you run out mid-flight, you will only have a few seconds to launch an attack before your squadron automatically returns to the carrier. Plan your flights wisely and remember to upgrade your carrier to increase your fuel capacity and maximize your battlefield performance. To enhance the game dynamics and offset fuel limitations, several changes have been made to aircraft and squadrons. The speed of all aircraft has been boosted by at least 10%, and they can now accelerate indefinitely without overheating. Thanks to this, the engine cooling consumable is no longer needed. Now, the only heat you need to manage is the fire of combat itself. As we enhance our strategic approach, let's zoom into the newly adjusted spotting mechanic, which reshapes how you'll scout the battlefield. Spotting has been updated specifically for aircraft. When controlling your squadron, you can spot enemy ships for yourself like before, but your allies will now only see markers on the minimap. Your team cannot directly target an enemy ship spotted by aircraft, so enhanced coordination is required. A brand new ribbon has been added for aircraft spotting to differentiate it from standard ship-to-ship spotting. Note that aircraft can no longer detect torpedoes. This new system emphasizes teamwork and communication, making your coordination skills more important than ever. Play hide and seek like a pro. Keep your friends close and your enemies on your minimap. Naturally, the way aircraft carriers service their planes and deal damage has also undergone some adjustments. All hangar sizes have been increased, and the restoration time of squadrons has been reduced. The restoration times now differ between nations, diversifying the board even more. Speaking of squadrons, most of them have been redesigned. They now boast more planes in updated flight and attack formations, but individual planes have fewer hit points. Details aside, let's get to the meat of things. All dive bombers equipped with HE or AP bombs have received a larger payload, meaning they can drop more bombs, increasing your hit chances. However, their penetration, damage, and fire chances have been reduced to balance these changes. That's not all. The unique skip bombers of Soviet carriers have received an important tweak. Their bombs must now skip at least once on the water to arm and deal damage. It will take more skill to use them effectively, so don't skip on practicing. All of these changes aim to make carriers more integral and active participants in battles. Keep in mind that these adjustments are still a work in progress, and some of them might receive additional tweaks in the future. For players who crave a deep dive into these changes, a dedicated article is ready and waiting. For those who prefer a more hands-on approach, 4 aircraft carriers, Hakuryo, Midway, Zui.
All right, so that's basically the video. So, I mean, they talk about a lot of things here, some questionable, but I'll get to that in just a second. So, first thing is, obviously, the biggest change that I want to point out is the fact that they totally removed carrier spotting. They made it so that they can only spot for themselves, and the spotting that they do provide is only through minimap spotting until their ally ship gets in range of the enemy ship's concealment range, and then from there it'll just be like a normal interaction between surface ships. This is something that the community has been asking for so long, and this is something that is also considered a band-aid fix because according to Wargaming PC, they have tried it. They said it didn't work. It was too clunky, too much. But then again, if you look at this entire rework, that is also way too much. It is even more than overly complicating things that is happening with the game. It just seems like Wargaming is trying to fix multiple things at once that cannot be fixed without taking a first step. It seems like they're trying to do everything at once. This change has been added to WoW's Legends, I believe, already. This made it through to the final stages on the live server for them. And I don't know how they feel about it. I didn't talk to anyone about it, how they feel, what their opinions are. But I mean, just from me looking at this,
it just seems like this is probably the best first step that we can take on the PC port to address spotting and the unwanted and the unintentional spotting that carriers do. Simply removing the spotting from carriers that they provide, like full spotting that they provide currently on live server, that is a huge first step that we can take. You can ignore this part that they say no longer spots torpedoes. In case you guys don't know about Legends carriers, initially they spotted torpedoes, kind of like how we did in RTS, but they finally removed that, so that's a whole change. Now this one, fuel, has also been spoken of a lot in WoW's general and just in my comment section. Fuel system. What this fuel system mechanic does for carriers is, yes, it makes it so that the carriers cannot fly over top of a ship all the time, waiting out DCP, waiting out, the FAA, waiting out fighter cooldowns, that kind of thing. Once you launch your planes, you have a set amount of distance that you can travel before you have to forcefully recall your planes back to the carrier. What the other side of this, what this means is to address this or to compensate the loss of not being able to permanently fly all the time, what you as the carrier player should do is get closer. You getting closer means once you take off, it minimizes the amount of time of travel, which also means more time that you can theoretically fly above the enemy ship because you get there sooner. Your fueling system is still the same. So pushing your carrier forward enhances it introduces a skill for the carrier player specifically to properly position their carrier. So those who cannot position their ships tends to blow up. Doesn't matter what ship you're playing. It is even more so pronounced for carriers. This is a very good change, and I believe should be added as well, without adding the whole multiple different altitudes, attack phases, travel mode, all that kind of stuff. AA firing sometimes, fighters tagging on the travel ships, DFA not doing anything. It's just a whole big mumbo. It's just mess. This is, I believe, is another good step that we can take for the PC port to address the whole situation of a carrier like FDR permanently hovering over a battleship nonstop for 6 strikes straight and just abusing the hell out of a battleship. They even changed the upgrades and commander skills as well to address this whole different change, right? Here we go, the maximum flight range plus 2 kilometers, that kind of thing, right? The next type of thing that they also said was, hey, because we're gonna be making the travel distance for planes a very limited distance, what they're doing is increasing the plane speed. This is like a normal balance change that they would do. I would say it differs from console to PC. So that's up to them. So we don't really have to worry about this. But it's nice that they are addressing the fact that, hey, they know what they're doing in terms of balance changes, right? They are very aware. They listen to community feedback way more than PC does. And that's the one thing I noticed when I was a CC's legend, a legend CC. The staff actually talks and listens to the communities. It's crazy, I know. Now, this is something that we also had on our playtest. You have unlimited fuel, or not only unlimited fuel, sorry, unlimited boost gauge. You don't have to worry about how long you press your W key or your S key. It's just a speed altering mechanic. You don't have to worry about anything else. You could travel at maximum speed all you want, so be it. So this is the spotting changes. This one. So the hangar changes. You don't have to worry about this part. They only do this for the carrier on Legends because Legends carriers don't have rocket squadron. They only have 2 squadrons, torpedoes and bombers. So as you can see here, for the squadron redesign, more bombs, more bombs dropped at once, but they altered the HP, they lowered the damage, and they lowered the penetration, all that kind of stuff, right? But as you can see here on the bottom right, there's only 2 squadron because they don't have rockets. So that's why they had to do the whole adjustment with squadron sizes, regeneration timers, and the ordnance count. But I mean, this is all really good changes, and I don't understand why we have to overly complicate our game with this, with what we have on the test client. It's like, why try to address all the problems at once that have been piling up for the past 4 or 5 years when we can just take one step at a time and adjust things accordingly? For example, the spotting, minimap bonus spotting, and the fuel system. I feel like that'll be a really good start instead of overly complicating everything. It's just strange, but I mean, what do you guys think? Should we? I mean, I think this would be really nice to see instead of just doing a whole rework that just changes the way that carriers are played, the way that all the mechanics work, right? So, you know, at least we have something to look at with WoW's Legends and how they approach their carrier rework, and I feel like this should be also a step forward to at least take, instead of trying to run all the way and, you know, take one giant leap. But I do think WoW's Legends rework is better than what we are having to deal with. This whole thing is just a mess, right? So, I mean, that was pretty much it. I just want to talk to you guys about that, show you guys what WoW's Legends is doing, because WoW's Legends is coming to PC on the Steam client, which is very cool to see. Very interesting decision, but very nice to see nonetheless, because it seems like they are trying to branch out to as many players as possible, and I think Steam release will be a very successful one for a lot of PC players to try out. But yeah, that'll be it for this one. Just a shorter video, 20 minutes of me just rambling on, no gameplay, but just showing you guys what there is here. But yeah, that's gonna be it. I'll see you guys later. Hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the comment section and read about what you guys think. All right, peace.